If I could hand it in tomorrow, it'd be all right. We're talking Saved by the Bell. Hit it. It was 1989. The Mirage Hotel and Casino opened in Vegas. The Exxon Valdez spilled 11 million gallons of oil. Nintendo released the Game Boy. And Zack Morris began his high school run. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me are two very special guests. You'll know them as the hosts of the way tubular It's a 90s Christmas podcast, Lyle and Lasse. Guys, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you very much for having us.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
What have y'all been up to?
Not much.
Nothing really.
Still working in some cases, but yeah, it's still not able to quite get back to the show. But soon we will.
Right on. Looking forward to hearing it. I really enjoyed your Frasier episode. I think that was like one of my favorites.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But I really loved Frasier. That was one of my favorites growing up, and especially because I used to love Cheers. So when he spun off, and and of course they kind of like retcon a few things here and there, but when he spun off, it was really enjoyable. So I really liked that episode.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I gotta ask, Saved by the Bell. What are y'all's initial thoughts and I guess histories with Saved by the Bell?
Okay,
Lasse, I'll go first.
Okay, this sums up all of my history and all of my feelings about Saved by the Bell.
I gotcha. So not something you're familiar with. You grew
not
up
not that much. I mean, I should. I think most listeners will be familiar with the show, and on our show, I always talk about the history of it in Germany and all of that. So this should be a really fun novelty for this episode. The German title for Saved by the Bell was California High School. And an alternate title was Pausenstress und erste Liebe, which translates into School Break Stress and First Love. Yeah.
That is a mouthful there.
It is indeed. It first aired over here on January 2nd, 1994 on the channel RTL 2.
Oh, wow.
And these right here might have been the only 2 episodes of Saved by the Bell I have seen all the way through.
Oh, wow.
This might be one of those sitcoms which are only loved by the people who watched it back in the day and actually thought that this was high school before they went to high school and realized how stupid we were believing a show like this. I especially hate Zack, who just comes across as a douche bro idiot. The others I don't mind as much, except for Screech, who is very annoying. And I don't really have memories of it because I don't remember watching it as a kid or later. I just saw clips of it here and there, and that's my history.
Okay, I gotcha. Lyle, what about you?
Me, on the other hand, I grew up with the show and I loved it.
Me too.
It was fantastic. It's a show that I can see Lasse's point. I mean, if you didn't grow up with it and you just started watching it now, you probably wouldn't like it. My son, who's probably about the age I started watching it, he loves it. He thinks it's fantastic. So it's kind of one of those, you need to have the child mentality in order to get the show and to like the show. But he watches it. He loves it. So I watch it more for nostalgic stuff. I don't go to see Schindler's List or whatever. I go to just know that my mind will be turned off for the next 30 minutes.
That's a strange comparison.
So, I mean, it is what it is. It was what it was. And I love it regardless of how stupid it is.
Yeah, I didn't realize like there were so many, at least in these episodes, because I haven't gone back to watch the rest yet. But at least in these episodes, there's so many like little one-liners and jabs. And I didn't remember how many of those it was. I mean, to me, it's still awesome because like you said, you know, I grew up with it thinking that's what high school was going to be like. Of course, it's not at all, but that's what I thought. I thought that's high school, man. And so I was like super excited. I was like, Zack Morris is the coolest. And of course, you look at it from today's point of view, and yeah, it's problematic on a lot of levels, but the nostalgia for me kind of brings it home. So it's one of those where it's like, okay, I don't know how much I'm going to be watching it again, but when I do, I know I'm going to be rooting for Zack to win.
I think today he actually would be the kid who gets bullied, like hard.
Could be, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Screech is still pretty odd.
Yeah, but I mean, he would have like a pack who he plays Dungeons and Dragons with, so he's fine.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, Saved by the Bell is really interesting. So it all started with the head of NBC, what's his name, Tartikoff, and he actually had a teacher in 6th grade named Miss Bliss, and so he wanted to create, you know, a show around that. And so he did, called Good Morning, Miss Bliss. They filmed a pilot. They originally wanted Sandy Duncan to be the teacher, and somehow instead they ended up casting Haley Mills. And it wasn't picked up. They ended up not liking it, but he still had kind of this idea that it could work. So he still ended up selling it to the Disney Channel, and they got the first, 13 episodes of Good Morning, Miss Bliss. It ended up doing pretty terrible, although people seemed to like more of the kid interaction rather than the teacher. And so then they retooled it and came out with Saved by the Bell in '89. So it was about 2 years later that it actually showed up. So, I mean, it's really interesting how his initial thought was like about this teacher that he just thought was super cool. And then it ended up just turning into like the show about the kids.
All the teachers ended up being buffoons on that after that.
Yes.
Boy, did they.
They're all buffoons. Mr. Dewey, clearly a buffoon.
Mr. Dewey. I forgot about him till you said it.
Was that the principal?
No, that's Mr. Belding.
No.
Mr. Dewey was
Mr. Belding, right.
Yeah.
He was like the science teacher. He was the math teacher.
Yeah.
Like every time they needed a fill-in, just go get Dewey.
Go get Dewey, yeah, pretty much.
He'd show up.
This dude is certified in like all sorts of things.
I mean, if you are named after one of the Donald Duck triplings.
Mr. Tuttle. I remember
Mr. Tuttle. Yeah, I liked Mr. Tuttle. He was cool. I mean, he wasn't cool, but you know. Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah.
Rest in peace.
When like 2000, 2012, something like that.
Oh man.
Keeping within the theme of our show. every single episode we have to say, oh, this person died.
Yeah. I don't think there's been an episode thus far that we have not had somebody that was dead on the show. I don't think.
I don't think either. Yeah.
Well, that's
Frasier,
okay.
Was it Frasier? I don't know if the guy from Frasier was dead by the time we did it.
No, Frasier might have broken that curse.
Yeah, I don't recall you saying that in that one.
But, interesting.
But yeah, so I mean, it really is like a buffoonery kind of a thing, you know.
And it's a time capsule. It's a perfect show to put in a time capsule.
It definitely is that. I mean, it encapsulates like the late '80s, early '90s to a T. I mean, from their crazy sweaters and you know their acid wash jeans to, of course, all of the slang and stuff they use as well. But I think what I liked about it was that it gave me someone, and again, this was back in the I was 9, so you got to cut me some slack here. But it gave me someone to look up to in Zack Morris, and you know, I thought he was the coolest, and I wanted to be him and be just like him. And of course, I wasn't. I think I was more of a combo of like Jesse and Screech, I think, which is terrible.
The two nerds.
Pretty much, yep. The band geek. But yeah, I mean, it just he got away with all these things. His schemes were cool. You know, he
Did
got
he
the
get
pretty
away
girl
with everything?
Well, he really didn't, I guess. Now
He really
that you say
didn't.
that.
Like he always got caught.
But he managed to somehow, get out of punishment.
Yeah, that I would give him. He was good at that.
So
because he was a good-looking white kid. Go figure.
So that's the secret. Oh man,
I don't see Slater getting away with much.
It's funny because when the show, when they introduced Slater, initially he was like a rival to Zack, and it was like a back and forth between Zack and Slater over who was going to date Kelly. I don't know if you remember that, Lyle.
I do remember that. One of the things, sorry to cut in here, but one of the things I remember about that is I've seen Saved by the Bell. I'd say the whole run from beginning to end, probably about 5-6 times. I've seen the whole thing. And when I was a kid, I always thought it was Zack and Kelly. Mm-hmm. They were only together for maybe about 10 episodes.
Yeah, because then
maybe.
Well, it was and then I think even then it was very on again, off again.
Yes.
She ended up going with that guy, Jeff, from the Max. And then they kind of hint at coming back together. And then Zack wants to take her to prom. Yeah. I mean, it's always like one of those things where, okay, maybe they'll get together.
Yeah.
Should they even be together if they keep breaking up this much? That kind of a thing. And so you're right.
So
I remember the same thing. It was always Zack and Kelly, but no, it really wasn't.
It wasn't. It was like 10 episodes was probably it where they were actually together or they mentioned about being together.
Yeah. But then they get married.
The way you said Zack and Kelly, I was thinking of Zack and Kelly. Alpha.
Oh man. But yeah, so of course they go off they do the college years. It's just the 3 guys. And then eventually Kelly joins them later on. And then they spun off with a couple of movies where they go to Hawaii and Zack proposes and then they go to Vegas and get married. And then of course there's
Kelly becomes a stripper.
That was Jesse.
That was definitely Jesse. Yeah.
Jesse, right. Sorry. I'm much more familiar with the actors' names and
Elizabeth Berkley.
Yeah, Elizabeth
we
Berkley.
we all know what happened with Elizabeth Berkley.
Well, yeah, we were teenagers during that time.
I think I was a little younger. I remember when Showgirls came out. I had to have been very young because my brothers were probably like teenagers, so I was about 6 years younger than them. So maybe I was in elementary school.
Oh wow!
I don't remember, but they wouldn't let me watch it. I've never watched it.
I mean, she went for the attempted image change, but didn't turn out so well.
No, couldn't stick the landing there.
But she was fearless. I give her that. She was really fearless in that attempt.
She was, yeah. And then, of course, Dustin Diamond wrote that book, that supposedly tell-all book.
Behind the Bell.
Yeah. And,
very laughable.
Well, later on, I guess he said that a lot of the stories were made up by his ghostwriter, which I don't know. I kind of have suspicions about that. I think at least in a kernel form, some of those might have been true. And then, of course, he just blew them out of proportion himself, and then his ghostwriter maybe took that and went with it. But I have a feeling several of those stories are actually quite true.
Well, they were teenagers, so of course they're going to get into trouble.
Yeah,
like that's what happens when you have a show with a bunch of kids in it with a lot of downtime.
So one thing that on that Zack to the Future podcast that Mark Paul Gosselaar mentioned was that a lot of times they would film the show live. So they would pre-tape certain things, like if they had to change scenes too much, or some of the dream, quote unquote, dream sequences, things like that, and then the rest of the show they do live. And so that kind of, I mean, I didn't realize that they did it like that, and so that kind of blew my mind that they were able to at least get it done fairly well. They tried to keep the audience there for like as little as possible, so they tried to get like 1 or 2 takes tops for like everything. which is, I mean, that's kind of amazing when you think of that. Well, yeah.
It really, really shows.
It's still what they do with a lot of sitcoms nowadays. Like something is pre-recorded. I guess all of the stuff you see in sitcoms nowadays when they like drive a car or something, that must have been like pre-recorded instead of just them like pulling out the green screen or whatever.
Right.
I don't even know. I don't even watch sitcoms anymore. I just can't get into any of them.
The only one I really watch now is, well, I like the Goldbergs, but the only one I really watch is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Never seen it.
That's a sitcom?
I guess, right? It's a comedy.
I don't know. I mean, this is a sitcom. I always think of like this actually live recorded thing with an audience there that laughs. But I guess no, a sitcom can also be something different. I mean, it comes from situational comedy. Right. That can be anything.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's no laugh track, it's not a sitcom to me.
Yeah, that's my mindset too.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
That's why we do the show together, Lasse. You think I picked you because you were German?
That's what I thought. This whole time I was wrong. Oh man.
No, I think the way it really happened was Lasse was the only one who replied to wanting to be my co-host.
That's I think that's how Tis the Podcast got together too, so it's all right.
He was the only one who wanted to, so I was like, all right, sure, let's do it, German boy.
That's how all the great achievements in humanity's history have been brought to life.
By picking the German, or
no, just basically like whoever is there, I guess.
Oh, I gotcha.
I think having Lasse as being from another country, it really helped the show become what it is. Because I get such a kick out of Lasse's whenever he does the German side of the sitcom, and he tells me what it was called over there. It just makes it makes me feel nice inside. So I was like, yeah, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, because it adds a different flavor that with another American host it wouldn't have. Just a new bunch of information, which makes our show much more unique in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
The best one I liked was when we did Malcolm in the Middle, and you translated the whole German section for me.
Oh yeah. What they actually say in German, yeah.
That was my favorite episode that we did.
So, California High School. I mean, Saved by the Bell.
It gets everybody.
So it did have 2 Christmas episodes. It was a part 1 and part 2. Aired originally December 7th and then December 14th in 1991, which is part of the reason why I suggested this. I gave you all a list of things that I thought could cross over really well, and this was one of them. And right away you guys picked Saved by the Bell because you didn't think you'd get to it on your show, or you wouldn't get to it till later.
Lasse didn't want to do it.
Okay, gotcha.
I would have done it if you insisted.
Right, but I mean, it was Saved by the Bell. I didn't want to push the envelope.
Hey, it's all right. You pushed several things, and I was fine.
Well, I'm glad you said yes, because this one is it's really a treat, but in a special sort of way.
Oh,
this is basically Saved by the Bell. Otherwise, would have been Lyle's revenge on me for making him watch the first Harry Potter movie.
Oh, remember how I fell asleep
several times.
Oh man, I get it though. I get it. I do.
Yeah, I fell asleep, and then I tried to watch it again, and I fell asleep again, and I was yeah, no way.
At least you were awake for the Christmas part. I was actually when the whole Christmas part started, which was basically one of the reasons why I pushed the movie for our show. And then we see the establishing shot of Hogwarts, and it's snowing, and Hagrid dragging the tree, and I was leaning over to him. Look, snow! La 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 la.
That was the whole Christmas. That was it.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. They wake up and. Happy Christmas, Harry. Happy Christmas.
Yeah,
Ron.
a little bit more. A few minutes of Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely get a lot more Christmas in these episodes here. So Home for Christmas,
we do.
parts 1 and part 2 are really, I mean, it's standard, pretty much standard for the Saved by the Bell plot-wise. The shenanigans happen and they have to solve this problem. It starts off with the gang getting. I mean, basically, they all except for Zack, they get jobs at the mall, and so a lot of this is set at the mall, which I think they did really just to save money on their budget, because it's not like they had a huge budget. But
right, yeah, I think the only one who didn't have a job at the mall was Lisa at the hospital. But they needed to
because
foreshadow
she was a candy
later.
striper. Yeah, her mom's a doctor and she's a candy striper, which I think we see in another episode.
We see it in a couple, yeah.
When Zack has to have surgery or something like that
on his knee.
That's right. Yeah,
I think that was one of the Tori episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Tori, that's the whole thing there.
That opening scene. Let's talk about that for 1 second.
Okay, go for it.
So we can see that it takes place right after school, because I think they have like backpacks or they have like notebooks in their hands, right? So they're coming out of school. Plus, Zack says something about he got what he wanted for Christmas, 2 weeks off from school, and that's right. Everyone laughs. So that came out on the episode came out December 7th. We already said that, and from what I remember from Christmas breaks in school, we always got 2 weeks off from school. So that would put this episode in Saved by the Bell time on December 20th, 1991. That would have been the day this took place. Just fun fact. I don't know why I did the math. I just wanted to. But they're all talking, and Kelly says, "Hey, I smell cookies." And then the mom says, "Yeah, Zack helped me bake them." And I was like, wait a minute. How did Zack help you bake them? If Kelly's smelling them now and you guys just got home from school, when did he help you bake them?
I thought the same thing, actually.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get it.
So maybe they pre-made the dough the night before. I don't know.
Maybe or they froze the cookies and now she baked them. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
I thought that too, but the way she said it, Zack helped me bake them.
That's true.
So bake.
Like if she didn't even realize
that. Yeah. Good point.
Trust me, I see.
Hey,
maybe so many times.
Maybe he helped her bake like right before school.
So they left them in the oven.
And
they left them in the oven for 8 hours.
I don't even know why I'm trying to defend this stupid show right now.
Why are you defending?
They would have been toast.
Yeah. Not the gingerbread women or whatever that
gingerbread
Slater
chicks,
wanted.
Yeah. That Slater called them.
That was my first cringe moment when she says, well, for you she should have made gingerbread pigs.
Yeah. Jesse.
Oh God.
Yeah, well, Jesse's always been more of the feminist thing, and Slater always calls her mama and she always calls him pig,
which is not really a theme in these two episodes. So how her character usually is, she mostly just it's an all-out Zack episode pretty much. The other ones don't get very much to do, like especially the girls, kind of like they do their thing and then get pushed to the side. Right. Screech is the one who gets a little bit more screen time, thankfully.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're right. It's definitely a Zack episode. There aren't those ones like where Jesse gets addicted to caffeine pills, or Kelly's not sure how she's gonna pay for college or pay for money for prom and things like that. I mean, or where Slater's ex-girlfriend comes. So this one, they really focus on Zack, but I think the reason is to contrast his more affluent lifestyle with that of the homeless girl that he ends up bumping into at the mall and falling for.
Slater gets the short shrift. He's barely in this.
He really is, yeah. Which is, but I do like his trouble at gift wrapping. It's dumb. It's so 90s, but I love it.
Yeah, and this such overacting from all of the extras that they have.
Yeah,
like the lady who's all like, "It's the only glass like this in the mall."
She tries to strangle him.
Yeah. Also, when the box of champagne glasses breaks, the woman calls him, I think, a klutz, right? Mm-hmm. She is like, "You klutz,"
and she assaults a minor.
Yeah,
that's true.
You klutz, but to me, it sounded like you slut.
Pretty sure that's not what she said, but I think it would have been funnier if it was.
It really sounded like that to me because the sound quality was not the best for me.
I gotcha.
No, I can, Lasso. Come on.
I think it definitely would have been funnier if she had called him that.
He was like just nothing to do with anything. But yeah, no, it was just I kept making myself laugh basically with like misunderstandings and all of that.
Well, and then again, we get one of those like one-liner kind of things with the where he's like, hey, some job, I get paid $4, I just spent 40, or something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
He says he's making $4 an hour, and earlier we find out Jesse is making $8 an hour.
Yeah,
in 91, my first job was in like 2002, and I barely made $7.50 an hour.
Well, and also she's just sitting there like as an elf taking photos or whatever.
Yeah. Well, photographers, I guess they get paid pretty well. I don't know.
I didn't know she was into photography.
I mean, it was just someone who get. I guess maybe, yeah. Don't put an elf costume on Screech. We know how that would turn out.
I think you're right.
Yeah. He barely passed as a reindeer.
Yeah, exactly. Like they probably maybe they tried. And then he immediately lost his job. And then we were like, okay, who else? Yeah, Jesse, you come here. Most of the times the elves for the mall Santa are female.
Why did Screech have that doll? Was it?
I don't know.
Was he going to give it to the kids? Was that one of the?
Yeah, okay. that at one point when Zack and him are talking, he goes like, "Hey, look what I got for the kids." Because in the previous episode, Lisa says, "Hey, you guys, don't forget you promised to get kids for the whatever that they were going to do for the kids at the hospital."
Right.
That's why he had that thing that wasn't even wrapped. Like, did he get it from a secondhand store? Like, I don't know where he got this thing from.
It looks like it looks like he pulled it out of the same box the Annabelle doll was in.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of My Buddy, even though it didn't really look like it, but it's just something about it. It was like, oh, My Buddy, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Similar size in a way.
Yeah.
Also, I want to talk about how they, especially during the first scene transition, they completely butcher Deck the Halls in a truly awful way.
They do? I don't remember.
Yes. I don't either.
This awful,
yes, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, this awful music version of Deck the Halls.
Do you know why they did that?
Because it sounded super cool.
Because it sounds like the theme of the song, of the sitcom, of the show.
Oh, when I know what you're talking about now. Okay, when they rearranged,
yes,
the arrangement.
So it's like a what do they call it? A sound-alike. I don't know what the actual term is.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's why they did that, and I don't know. I thought it was cool. So forget you, Lasse.
Oh God, I thought it was so like, let's try to be cool and dated and
you thought it was so 1991.
Very Mannheim Steamroller.
I mean, we're already in the middle of talking about all of it. I guess the next thing that happens is they see the homeless man in the bathroom.
Yeah, because of the doll, it's like one of those where you fill it up with water and then it like wets itself, but it gets Screech's pants like completely wet. So they go to the restroom so he can, clean himself up. And that's when, the homeless guy comes in. And at first they kind of catch him like checking the change, the phone machines.
At the payphone?
The payphones, for change.
That's so 90s right there.
For real.
Why is there a payphone in the bathroom?
I vaguely remember that there was payphones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the mall bathrooms.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
And why? In case somebody slips and like, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Speaking of 90s. No, I think it was because it was a little more private than outside in the main. I don't know.
I see.
I really don't know.
I don't know either, but
I do remember. I do remember it was a thing. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't design these things, man. I mean,
you grew up in America. I'm just asking as a stupid foreigner.
Well, you guys didn't have any payphones over there? Do you not have payphones?
Of course we do. But
wait, you do or you did? Because we don't anymore.
So we don't.
I guess we don't anymore either. But I don't pay attention to it kind of stuff. But I don't remember ever seeing them in public bathrooms.
I gotcha. But yeah, so the guy tells Screech how to dry off his pants. They notice he's shaving, and of course, we get the first awkward conversation between Zack and Screech about how the guy's homeless.
So awkward. I love this. All the stuff with the homeless man, you can tell that the audience, real or not, has no idea how to react to it.
You can kind of hear awkward ahs.
Yeah.
There,
but only some of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really was awkward. I mean, Screech and Zack, I mean, most of the time their interactions are awkward already. And then when you throw in something like this, I mean, it was rough. So Zack puts I don't know how much money, but some dollars in the
$3 or something.
$3.
Well, that's what they say on Zack Morris's trash. I didn't actually count it. I couldn't tell from.
Oh, I did.
Was it really?
I paid close attention to detail. Yeah, it was. Unless he gave them fives, it was $3. So whatever that would equate to, $3, $15, $7. It was $3.
3 tens, maybe.
$30.
No,
maybe even 300.
That's not something Zack would do.
Yeah, knowing Zack, it was probably $3.
It probably was
$3. Probably asked for change.
Well, later on, he does say something about he might. I hope he's not a wino or something.
Yeah,
I was like,
can
wow,
you get booze for $3?
I haven't heard that in like years. So that also dated it. Wino. No one really says that anymore. But
maybe booze that's like extremely punched or something.
The generic beer that just says beer across the top.
Hey, yeah, I love that. Yeah. Whenever, like, in certain movies or TV shows, when we're just in the bar, like, hey, I would like to have a glass of beer.
Beer. What kind of beer? There's like 30 different varieties. It's like, no, just give me a beer.
Although I guess that's like water for you guys, huh? Because in Germany, I mean, your beer's a lot better than ours.
Oh yeah, a lot of Germans when they come to America, they're quite disappointed in the beer in America. I mean, I can tell I don't like beer. I don't drink it myself, so but even I could maybe taste the difference. Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, my brother-in-law lives in Germany. He was stationed there in the army, and he ended up marrying a German girl there, and so he just decided to move there.
And nice. So it was destined to be that you had us of all people as guests on your show.
There you go. Yeah. And so my wife went to visit him before we were married. Well, actually, before we were dating, and she went to visit him, and they were talking about the difference between beers. And he was like, "Yeah, that stuff, that's just water back in the States."
Yeah, I heard that.
So
I think British beer is better. At least I heard. So yeah, he leaves for money. And I think that before that, that was the first time before that when he runs into the homeless girl and makes fun of the fact that she just has an apple for like dinner.
Right. Yeah. He met Laura.
Lunch.
And she was going to work. She only had an apple. At this point, we don't know that she's homeless. So he's talking with her. He's like, "Let me take you to lunch or whatever." And she's like, "I'm late for work." And she just goes, kind of a thing. And then he starts the rest of like that scene. He's like trying to look for her, I guess.
And then
it's so weird.
Yeah.
And then the baby who wets itself and Screech. And,
right. But then he ends up running into her when he goes to visit Kelly. Turns out she works at the same place that Kelly does.
Moody's store for men.
Moody's, yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. And that's
you didn't get the name was Moody's? Store for men?
No, I didn't.
It's said like 30 times throughout the episode.
Especially during the Christmas Carol.
I said during. I'm not gonna lie. During certain times while watching these episodes, I zoned out.
All right, pause it. We got to get him to watch it again. Bear shake, Lasse. Bear shake. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, but you couldn't stay awake for Harry Potter.
I tried twice. I tried. You can't compare a 20-minute sitcom to a 4-hour-long movie.
No, but I can't compare a 2.5-hour movie to 2 episodes of freaking Saved by the Bell.
All right, then. I'll let you.
That's true. I guess it is a total of combined like 44 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So
that would still like no.
That's still like a third of the Harry Potter movie, though.
Can't be any worse than that thing we saw. What was it that we saw, Lasse? That we both hated.
Oh yeah, the Christmas episode of X-Files.
The X-Files.
Oh really? Y'all hated that?
I still have nightmares about that one.
For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I know the Tis the Podcast folks. I think they ranked it pretty high.
So they were one of those bastards who ranked it high on IMDb.
We couldn't figure out why it had so many 10s, and we were all like, I don't get it. Did we watch the same thing?
Sometimes it depends on what mood you're in too, you know.
Oh, we hated it.
We're in a good mood. We just finished lunch, right?
That's why.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we ate lunch while we watched it.
You should have gone in, you know, like completely hungry, cranky, and maybe you would have enjoyed it more. No, I don't know. But
funny, speaking of our show in 90s Christmas podcast fashion, in this episode, we get another person with a cheeky contraption on his head to cheat a girl out of a kiss. I think this is the third time, right, Lyle? The others were Psycho Santa and Family Matters, if I'm not mistaken.
Family Matters, yeah.
It was also in the third Rock from the Sun, but it wasn't the same exact thing. But they did have the mistletoe. But he rips it out of the doorway.
Yeah, there was another. Yeah, there was another thing, but there wasn't like a contraption to get a kiss out of somebody in a cheeky way. So I didn't count that one. But you're right.
Yeah, Screech. Screech has that weird mistletoe thing on his head, and it's awful.
I think I'm going to bring that back. We should bring it back, Lasse, with our logo on the end.
There you go. Start selling them.
Start selling them.
It's a 90s Christmas kiss getter. I don't know. Kiss obtainer.
The mistletoe.
There you go. The mistletoe. I like that.
But
go ahead.
Further to continue describing whatever happens.
No, I was just going to say, so Zach realizes that Laura works at Kelly's store, and then he invites her to lunch. She's like thinking of going, and then he makes that comment because he sees the homeless man, and so he makes a comment about the homeless guy. I hope he uses it on food and not, you never know if when you give a handout, he's not not on drugs, or you hope he's not a wino.
Or worse. What is worse than that? A hoarder?
I don't know.
Like somebody who's not homeless, he's just like pretends to be, like some of those.
No, a crackhead.
But he says drugs.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I guess worse than a wino is
like
a crackhead.
Panhandler, you mean?
Yeah, like someone who asks for money, but they're not.
But they don't really need
poor. Yeah, that's their job.
But I mean, we already know what's worse because the way Zack behaves, and that is sexual predator.
That's true. So Laura's like immediately, she's like, no, I don't think so. So Zach's like, I don't get it. What happened?
I just lost my appetite.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big appetite because she's homeless.
Because she hasn't eaten anything substantial in quite a while. So yeah. It is a big
that's pretty bad, Zach. That's pretty bad, dude.
Indeed. But I mean, he doesn't know yet because he's self-centered.
No, he doesn't know.
And but I mean, if I saw that girl and heard all of those comments, I wouldn't make the connections either. So in defense to him, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and he does apologize to her later on. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't. I really don't know much about the homeless. And he makes this again another awful comment. In my neighborhood, the poor family is one that doesn't have cable. I mean, that's like, God, okay, this guy. So,
I don't have cable. So am I poor now?
Me neither.
Yep, it's official now. Zack Morris said you're poor, but
I am poor. According to Zack Morris.
I guess my parents do, but I don't.
Yeah. I guess I have DirecTV. Although I'm thinking of dropping it and just going with
Close enough, I guess.
Just going with Roku. Does that count?
I have a very, very stable internet connection. That's all I care about.
For real, there's a lot you can do with that.
Yes, indeed. I do all of those things,
and so
all legal, of course.
Of course, and so of course Kelly and Slater right away are like, "Yeah, it's okay. He's a good guy. Take a chance on him." Essentially, and So then she's like, all right. And
Kelly's an ex-girlfriend. Like, my
she's
ex-girlfriends would never be like, yeah,
no,
go out with him.
she's like crazy cool, man. I mean, she is always playing wingman for him, like throughout the rest of the series whenever they're not together. It's,
and this had to have happened right around the Jeff escapade.
Yeah, that was
was
like season. I think that was like the first or second episodes of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Because this is technically season 3, but if you count the Good Morning Miss Bliss, then it's season 4.
This was that episode aired on September 14th, 1991. So yeah, this had to have been a month after that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, guys, I got it. I have a theory.
Okay, what's your theory?
Maybe Kelly encourages her to go out with him, so he will leave her the heck alone.
Maybe that's why she's always trying to hook him up with someone else.
Yeah.
I guess she shouldn't have married him then.
If I had a clingy ex-girlfriend who wouldn't leave me alone, I would probably try to hook her up with somebody who keeps her in check.
Yeah, makes sense.
Possible.
That's my take, and that's my whole take on relationship. Good night, everybody.
Later, Lasse.
Oh man. So yeah, they help him out. She's hungry, so she eats like all this food or whatever, and he's like, okay, that's cool. And he says, hey, Kelly's gonna be in the Christmas Carol, you should try to join us. We're performing a Christmas Carol here in the middle of the mall, which seems odd. But his mom is putting it on, which also seems odd. But he's like, yeah, maybe you can be in it, and Kelly's gonna be in it, so come join us. And she gets all excited, and then of course her boss doesn't let her. But
that always bugged me about this episode is that they crap on this poor woman like all the time.
Yeah,
the first time they try to tell her to do something.
It's really inconsiderate. I mean, at this point, you are not supposed to know who she is and what her deal is yet. But especially in retrospect, you're like, this is really wrong.
Yeah. Because you're right. Yeah, we don't know that she's homeless yet still. Or, of course, we're not supposed to. It does seem a bit over the top. So he says no, she's kind of bummed out. And then Zack and Screech are there talking with Slater at his gift wrapping job, which he's terrible at. The homeless guy shows up. And before Zack and Screech get to the homeless guy shows up, he asks for some scraps. But because he helped Slater with a particularly difficult, or I guess regular bow, because Slater's terrible, then they he gives him a whole roll. And he's like, I waste more than that, rapid presence here or whatever. So he gives him a roll, and then that's when Zack and Screech show up, and all of a sudden they're like, what's that commotion? And they see that it's the homeless guy has passed out. And so they call 911.
Yeah, which was literally 5 feet in front of them, and they didn't notice until it was like a big old crowd of people.
Yeah, they didn't notice
the timing. The timing, the placement, the editing is so freaking awkward.
Yeah, and which again leads me to think they didn't have a big budget. They couldn't film it in some other part of the mall. It had to be like right there.
It actually reminds me of if you ever watched a stage play where like a group of characters stand on one side and another person who is supposed to be like miles away is standing on the other side, and the other people have to pretend like, hey, look over there through these binoculars.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to actually pretend. I mean, on a stage it works because there's something the audience's mind actually does. I mean, you have to. The audience mind has to work in a different way to make all of this work.
Yeah.
But here it's just it's so cramped and so.
Well, they go up to him to try to to help, but it's funny because like no one else, no adults or anything are helping out. Everyone's just kind of standing around, and these three high school kids are the ones that are doing
guard who's probably trained.
Exactly, right? And of course we get another one of those cringeworthy. Move away,
kid. I got it.
One of those cringeworthy lines with the the what's the number to 911. And I think I remember when this first aired because I remember watching this And I think even then in 91, that was already like a lame joke. So
like 911, what's the number?
Yeah.
They did it on Elf. On like the first episode of Elf. They did it.
Yeah.
So, what, 85, 84,
something like that. Yeah.
Actually, I just figured out the most unrealistic thing about this whole scenario.
What's that?
There's a man lying on the floor, passed out. People, this is in a mall a few days before Christmas. He would have been trampled to death by
now. It's sad, but it's true. Yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly when this is. It is during Christmas time, but it's not Christmas Day, is it?
No, but it's a few days before Christmas.
Yeah, so. People are still. I mean, they're ramping up. They're getting their shopping done. So it's
Well, and also,
it would have been like way more packed, especially in Los Angeles. Yeah,
like the Third Rock episode that we did, Lasse, where she got so fed up at the gift wrapping.
Bye now.
Bye now. Third Rock. That's wonderful.
That was a good one. I like that. John Lithgow, man, he killed it.
He did. That was like the best thing from the whole series was just his overreactions to everything.
Yeah.
Oh Tannenbaum, it's Christmas tree in German.
I just did.
And we found out it was.
I just did an episode with the Santa by the Minute guys, and so normally I do my Gag Me with the Spoon segment later on, but on that one, because we all kind of had similar things, we decided to do a Lithgow off. So we each did an impression of John Lithgow. It was fun.
Awesome.
But so the gang goes to Lisa's hospital, where they cheer up the kids, decorate a tree, bring some presents, make the fake snow come down, and then they decide to go check on the homeless guy. And I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
How does he make it snow in the damn hospital, no less? How did they rig that up?
I don't know, to tell you the truth.
I don't either.
I demand an explanation.
I don't know. I guess he really is Santa. I mean, well, he can freeze time, so why can't he just like make it?
Oh, we are going by that logic. I see.
Well, we have to. We're basically watching a live action cartoon.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even in a cartoon, snowing in the hospital would be too much.
But yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. But let's move on, because I have a lot to say about what happens in like the next episode. We get another, I usually say worthless extra in the Monique character. I don't know why I hate this lady so much.
Oh, what exactly happens?
Which one?
The Monique character, because at this point, Slater says, "Hey, we should go check on that guy that passed out. It's not even Zach's idea." And then Zach goes, "Oh yeah, we should definitely do that." So they go, and then they ask Lisa, and Lisa says,
"Oh yeah,
I don't know where he is, but let's go ask this woman, and she'll know." And you guys, really, you couldn't just say, "Oh yeah, he's in room so and so. I just checked him. I checked on him not too long ago."
I mean, the nurse.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes, they had another person just to have cheesy lines, and that's it. Like it's worthless. Like there's really no reason why.
I guess she was just a pawn in the pun game.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's a superfluous character.
We're looking for a man. And I'm like, well, so am I. It's just so dumb. I guess I'm watching Saved by the Bell, so if it's not dumb, then it's not Saved by the Bell.
That's exactly right. Yep.
That scenario with them like playing with the kids and all of that takes so long, and most of the time, the first episode, actually, a lot of for me, a lot of parts of both episodes were insanely boring.
I gotcha.
At least boring. For me, I'm sorry. Yeah, and especially
you mean the action scene of him falling to the ground, dying of starvation, wasn't enough action to keep you entertained?
Well, we don't actually.
We didn't even see him fall. He was just laying there.
Yeah. Use your imagination, Lasse. It's Christmas. Imagination, please.
Okay, you got me.
Lasse.
You got me.
There you
German.
go.
Gosh.
Don't be so German.
But so they
Lasse.
So they go to visit him, and that's where we find out that Laura is his daughter, and she's homeless too. End of part one. And then part two stuff.
Yeah, how long it takes Zack to connect the dots? She has to tell him. It's just idiot.
Yeah, he does he does take a while there. It's like, come on, Zack. 1 + 1 is 2.
Before this in the episode, he obviously hits on her. Like I said, he goes straight up into sexual predator territory with the candy and his remarks about what he wants for Christmas. And even more shocking is that his mother is completely cool with his disgusting behavior. But even then, I wouldn't tolerate this type of. I mean, yeah, that's just. I don't know if this is a sign of like this show has aged horribly, but I think even in the 90s, the stuff wasn't okay anymore.
Yeah, I think it was still early enough that it wasn't as problematic. You know what I mean? Like, especially like in the mid to late 90s, and some of that stuff was a lot more taboo. But back then, it was still relatively okay. You know what I mean?
Actually, oh yeah, but you know what Zack reminds me of? Zack is basically like if you morphed the two older Tim Taylor sons into just one huge douche.
What? Brad and Randy? Why?
Yeah. Kind of like he kind of like I don't know, he reminded me of Zachary Taylor Thomas in certain scenes. And
Wait a minute, did you just say Zachary Taylor Thomas?
well, I guess he would
name?
be.
You mean Zachary Ty Bryce and Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Oh, fuck.
Well, he morphed him. You know, he morphed him. What are you gonna do?
Oh Jesus, that's a big flop. I'm sorry, people, but you still.
No, I'm gonna give it to you. That was very creative there, Lasse.
Thank
very
you.
Creative, right on the spot.
Even it was unintentionally, but I got my point across, I guess. But yeah, continue with the description of the. Continue with a description of the quote-unquote plot.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get really ridiculous. I mean, it was already ridiculous, but now it really gets ridiculous because most of this next section deals with like the whole putting on the show kind of a thing, and they're still trying to get Moody to let her be in the show. And there's a subplot where, you know, Kelly accidentally lets it slip to Moody, the boss, that she's homeless. And so then he doesn't trust her when she says she likes a particular coat and won't give her an advance. And so there's like that whole little thing. And it really is. Yeah. It's strange. And I think the only reason is so that at the end they could give the dad the jacket and, you know, without her having to pay for it. And then that way that's like they're out for, you know, him getting a new job, and then they don't have to include him in the next one. I mean, that's what I think.
Maybe.
I don't know.
What was your take, Lyle?
Well, they were trying to basically build up the character of Moody so he can be like the Scrooge of the episode. Mm-hmm. They're trying to do a what's the name of that play that they're doing? I don't.
Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol. Gosh, I can't even remember. A Christmas Carol.
Like the
they're basically
Christmas story
doing Christmas Carol on the episode.
Yeah,
I brain farted. Come on.
No, I've been there.
I'm talking about Saved by the Bell. My mind is elsewhere.
Yeah, no worries, man. I was just joking. So
yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
I know where Lyle's mind is with those sexy stonewashed jeans.
Yes, those mom jeans. My goodness. Break me some of that Laura. Come on.
No, don't be such a Zack.
Hey, I'll take Kelly Kapowski any day.
No, it's still to this day. My goodness.
Yeah. Even when she came out on those that Hallmark movie, it was like, wow, she aged pretty well.
Oh no! Also, like that sketch that must have been not too recently, that Jimmy Kimmel one. Where he got pretty much all of those cast members back.
That was years ago now, man.
Oh really? It was a little bit long ago. But they actually made a really funny joke with Elizabeth Berkley, they made a really funny joke with her in that skit. Her reaction was great. But yeah, I enjoyed that little sketch a little bit. But boy.
That was in 2005. That was 5 years ago now.
2005 is not 5 years ago.
2015.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Excuse me, 15.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, not that long ago. So
well, but I think her Hallmark movies were like 4 or 5 years ago too.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in anything since.
They've been getting really popular lately. Those Hallmark things.
Mm-hmm.
Of the rise of certain other things. But yeah, this one, which brings us to the Christmas Carol thing.
Yes,
because watching them just reenacting the play is both insanely boring and incredibly lazy. I mean, this episode is basically co-written by Charles Dickens.
You could tell they were trying to really stretch it into 2 episodes.
Oh boy, did they! But there was one that brought one joke I laughed at when the. I think one of the moms it is, or like the one who puts this play out, and she says like, "Mr. Dickens, if you're out there, I'm sorry."
Well, so they end up butchering the play essentially because in order to get Laura to be in the play, which by the way, she learned her lines like ridiculously fast, but to get her to be in the play, they pretty much like bribe Moody, like, "Hey, we'll get you a ton of business. It'll double."
Free advertising.
Yeah, and so that's what it is. Like every single little scene that they can put in there about Moody's Store for Men, they throw it in there.
Moody's Store for Men.
It reminded me.
You're so poorly dressed.
You should shop.
That reminded me of that scene in Wayne's World where they do that like product placement.
Oh yeah. And it's a choice of a new generation. And then
oh, this is so bad. It's giving me a headache.
Here, take 2 of these.
Oh, so good. But yeah, one funny detail. I don't know if you picked up on that, but to me, like Screech plays Mr. Scrooge here.
He does, yeah.
Which is kind of funny. But Screech as Mr. Scrooge sounds like Scrooge McDuck.
I didn't get that. No,
I didn't catch that, but
it's Scrooge McDuck also played Ebenezer Scrooge in one Disney Christmas special.
That is true. Yeah. He did, yeah.
I mean, he's named after the character, for God's sake. So, but what I was actually hoping for, if they worked that into the play, if like the first, because they just show a pretty rough version of it, but I would have loved if actually like if the ghost of Marley popped up, and then Screech as Mr. Scrooge would have gone like zoinks.
I could see Screech doing that because he does make several of those types of sounds throughout the series. And let's see, I think Slater was Tiny Tim. Is that right?
Yeah, he was Tiny Tim and like the pawnbroker or something.
Yeah,
because Tiny Tim also with like a Scottish accent. I think the other one attempted accent. Zack was the only one who didn't.
Yeah, because
Zack did at the beginning.
Oh, Zack did. Okay. Maybe
because Kelly sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly. My goodness, what happened to her?
I actually thought like Screech's voice and his facial expressions, those weren't bad, and I actually enjoyed that combination.
Yeah. So Kelly, knowing that Laura wanted the jacket but couldn't afford it because Moody wouldn't give her an advance on her salary, tells another store clerk to just put it away, put it aside, and she'll buy it for her later. So then after the play, they go back to the actual store and the jacket's gone. And so Moody questions Laura about it. And he's like, hey, where's this jacket? And she's like, oh, so-and-so sold it because that's what she was told because she didn't want to give away the secret. And so then he is suspicious because now he knows she's homeless. And so he goes to check and he can't find a receipt for it. So he immediately like threatens to call the cops. And so she like runs away. Of course, Kelly tells him, I put that aside. Then the gang starts to look for her. They can't find her anywhere until Slater says, hey, someone saw Laura running out, which by the way, I mean, was it just someone that fit her description? How do they know that it was like the right person, Like, how did that person know who Laura was? I mean, they didn't.
Maybe it was somebody who worked at Moody's.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. It's emotional.
Good point. So, so they all go exploring, and they end up at a Christmas tree farm, essentially. A Christmas tree lot, and they're do they go there just to buy a tree, or do they go there to actually looking for her? I don't recall.
I think they go there because they need to buy a Christmas tree, but they're looking at the same time.
It's like, oh no, this girl that we hurt and we want to make better is missing, but we also need a tree, so I mean we got to stop.
So we'll go look. You guys look over there. We'll go look over here at the tree lot. We need to go there anyways. So
yeah.
It's basically.
I mean, we got it.
It's basically like, oh man, I lost my child. I think somewhere in the food court in the mall. I guess I should.
But I gotta buy batteries.
But I also could go for some fried chicken.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, as luck would have it, the owner of the lot actually goes up to a car and says, "Hey, you guys, you can't be here. This spot's reserved for people that are going to pick up trees." And the car won't start, and so they get out of the car, the owners, and it turns out it's the homeless guy and Laura. And so, hey, what do you know? We're at the same place at the same time. And no one's calling the cops. We got it all worked out. Come home with us.
Yeah, we kind of glazed over the whole where Zack had the two people over for dinner.
At the beginning of the
Oh, you're
segment.
right.
Yeah. But, I mean, why not just bring them back and,
That's right.
They
did have him over for dinner, and Zack right away is like, "Hey, how'd you come homeless?" I mean, like, come on, man. You don't just
sensitive prick.
I'm interested too, and sometimes I've been around a lot of homeless people. Like, we're working at a pawn shop. I've come across a lot of homeless people, and I would ask a lot of them, like, "Hey, how did you become homeless?" And a lot of them said, surprisingly, that it's a choice. They like being out and about. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. I guess. Sounds really weird, but...
Or maybe they just say that to not lose their face in front of somebody. I doubt it,
because the people that would say it were like, you can tell, like, oh yeah, they like being outside. They like being out. It's just weird. So obviously it's not the case here, because we hear that he was working at a computer factory or something. And
yeah.
It went under. Probably Dell, but we know that Dell thrived.
But he drove across the country to try to get a job in Silicon Valley or something.
Who would go to California? Like, I just left California. Who would go? Like, honestly, if you're looking to get ahead, don't go to California. Like, honestly, don't, because you're not. You're going to be just as homeless there as you were everywhere else.
Yep.
So that's my take.
Maybe it wasn't so bad in the early 90s.
Wisely.
I have spoken.
I have spoken. Such a good song. But yeah, so they invite him back to their place, and then I was going to say Tiffany, not Tiffany. Kelly comes in, and she's late because Moody made her work till closing, and then she's like, but he wouldn't let me buy that coat for you because he wanted to give it to you, and so we get his Scrooge Christmas morning moment. Yeah, and so he's like, yay, and
yeah, I like in that part when Kelly comes in and says, he wouldn't, after all that, he wouldn't let me buy that jacket. And then I think it was Kelly, or not Kelly, Jesse or Lisa. They go, he's such a Scrooge. And then she goes, he wanted to give it to you himself. And then you can hear in the background, somebody goes, what?
I did not hear that. I'm going to have to watch it again just to listen to it.
It's very faint, but you hear a what? It's just so funny. I think it's
one of the audience members?
No, I think it's Jesse who does it. You can clearly hear it's one of them.
I have to rewatch that.
I know, yeah. Now I got to watch just that scene again. And so he gives him the jacket and leaves right away. And so they're like, how can I ever repay you? And they're like, well, stay with us, until you get a job. I talked to my dad, which, by the way, where is the dad? I mean, what does he do that he is away on business like all the time?
The dad sells computers. He's a computer salesman. Can probably give Frank a job, but we never hear of Frank ever again.
Oh, yeah, right.
I don't know, man. I mean, if I was away and my wife was like, hey, there's this guy that wants to come stay with us. What do you think? I'd be like, no, cool. Man, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been like, bring a stray cat home. All right, I draw the line with a homeless guy plus person? Daughter.
Like, here's some money for a hotel. Like, I don't know, but especially if I'm away on business. That's Anyway.
Don't bring that strange man into my home.
And then we get another one of your predatory Zack moments, Lasse, where he says, where she's like, how can I repay you? And he's like, hey, give me a kiss, right in front of her dad.
In front of the dad. And the dad's all cool with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did save his life. So
did you notice the crowd's reaction to the kiss was hilariously delayed?
Because they didn't know what to think. They wanted him to be with Kelly.
I guess, yeah. And then I guess they were just as disgusted as I was. And then like some stagehand just waved his hands like, come on, reaction.
And yeah, it really was weird. And but I mean, I guess it makes sense. The dad owed him his life, so here.
Here's my daughter. Here's my firstborn as payment. But where's the mother? I guess she passed away. Never hear about the mom.
I guess
this story just. I don't know. This story just went full on Beauty and the Beast.
Pretty much.
It's a tale as old as time.
It sure is.
Mm-hmm. Boy meets poor woman, and then turns her into
takes a hostage.
Yep, pretty much.
Forces himself onto her.
Trades the dad's life for hers.
Yeah, in order to break his curse. Yep. In Zack's case, being a douche.
So then they end by all singing Silent Night. Yay. And then of course you get the nice
very well to boot.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He had a nice baritone voice. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the episode, and it was certainly something.
Oh. The double episode. It was really nice. My first time with Saved by the Bell in terms of like discussing it for a podcast, and then it was just a double whammy. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
Double episode. How did I deserve this? 2 days before my birthday, no less.
Oh, sorry. Happy birthday.
Just like, not yet, but yeah.
Oh man. So guys, I gotta ask, what would you say is your happiest memory of Saved by the Bell in general, and this episode in particular, if you have one?
The end credits.
That's fair. That's fair.
I kind of like the opening song. I think that still sounds fun, I guess.
So fun fact, when they rebranded it as Saved by the Bell, the showrunner did not want to call it that. Unfortunately, he was given a mandate by the president to, that's what it's going to be called. But he had all of his composers like write theme songs and to not use that phrase in there. And one of them ended up using it anyway. And so he kind of didn't want to submit it, but they went through all the other 4 tracks and they were pretty just terrible. So then he finally heard that one and he really liked it. So he's like, all right, we'll use it.
Interesting.
So because of disobedience, we got the very familiar theme song. Which seems choice. It actually seems par for the course. You know what I mean? With talking about Zack Morris, it seems like fitting that's what would happen. But
yeah, I don't know. I like the theme song. I think it sounds fine.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's all you like is just a theme song? Come on, Lasse.
I know. I mean, also the girls in the group are cute. If I'm just saying as superficial as the show is, I like all of those girls. They have nice personalities. They are pretty girls. I like watching them talk and all of that. I just sound like a total creep right now.
Wow, way to keep it creepy, Lasse.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No,
Just
no, Lyle, what do you think? No.
Well, being from somebody who actually grew up with the show, like, honestly, the show's dumb. We know it's dumb.
Yeah.
The show is not well written. It's not well acted. There's holes everywhere, as we've figured out. Like, it's just a mess of a show. But for whatever reason, I love the show. Kids today love the show.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't know what it is about those 5 or 6, I don't know who they are now, 5 or 6 of them that do stuff together as friends, and they get mad at each other. Zack is always scheming, but yet they're always going to be friends forever. Come on, remember that whole "Friends Forever" song? Like,
I do, yeah, by Zack Attack.
Yeah, oh my God, Zack Attack. But like, there's just something about that show that show it to a kid that's 5, 6 years old, they're going to love it. Why? Couldn't tell you. But when they get older, they'll start realizing, like, wow, that show is crap, but I still love it. That's my feeling of it right now. This episode, the 2 episodes, or whatever we just saw, crap. Like, honestly, not good. But I love it. Like, this is probably, other than the sister Christmas episode, this one's up there. Like, I love the character of Frank Benton. I don't know why. He just seems like he's a nice older man that you can like not hang out with, but he's like a friend of the family's. He comes over and tells you stories. Like, he's Uncle Frank. Yeah. But I don't know. If I had to pick something that I really liked about this episode, it would have to be I love the Christmas music that's in the background. Like, you can hear it. It sounds. One thing that I really like about the Christmas music that plays in Christmas lights whenever you get them, I love that music. I don't know why. Well, I do. It's because of my childhood. It reminds me of that special time.
Right. I mean, come on. Good. Sister is better than this.
Sister is my favorite Christmas episode.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but it is. Like, I think because I watched it when I was a kid, and it reminds me of that time. That's why we do a 90s Christmas podcast, because all of this stuff reminds me of my childhood Christmas, and trying to recreate that is tough. But every so often, like, you hit those things, like the Christmas music in this episode, stuff like that just triggers it. And every time I see Christmas Crunch, it triggers it, and I have to have Christmas Crunch. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I hear you.
At least there's one thing I want to give Saved by the Bell. In retrospect, I mean, I haven't seen that much of it, but it's mostly harmless. I mean, like, it's dated and stupid, but it's harmless. It is not as absolutely horrible as something like Full House.
I remember waiting for TGIF every Friday night. It was like like, I couldn't wait to get through all of those, because it was like 4 shows, right? From 7 to 9. Yeah.
Well, for me, at the time, it was from 8 to 10. I was on the
right
at the time. Yeah. But TGIF, it was fantastic. Like, I don't know if it was because we were at the right age, but they've tried bringing it back numerous times. But there was just something magical about the 90s that just made it what it was, and I don't think anything would be able to capture that anymore.
I'm just enjoying the fact so much that finally, like, we are on a show with somebody who you can talk about this specific stuff.
So for me, I think
can't talk about TGIF with Lasse because he has no idea.
He has no idea. Oh man, that's a bummer. That's
the cultural difference, all of that.
So I think for me, my favorite, my happiest memory would be watching this with my daughter. So when I knew we were going to do this, I put it on, and my daughter was there, and she hadn't seen it before, so she didn't really get it, but she was laughing and she thought it was funny and she enjoyed it. So I was like, all right, I can dig this. I like this. She's liking it. She's 8-year-old.
How old's the daughter?
She's 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know. I know it was specifically designed, like when they first started talking about making the show, they were thinking about that age group from 10 to 12 because they knew that that's where they were like losing a lot of kids there. You know, they were growing out of it, so they're like, well, let's get something specifically. So I guess we would call them tweens now.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that age group.
Yeah. But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little thing I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impressions of our least favorite part of the episodes. So as the guests, I'll let y'all go first. Just kind of set up the scene for us, and then the winner will get we'll put it up for a vote to the listeners, and the winner will get a totally rad Christmas sticker.
Oh God. Well, my least favorite part was the urinating baby.
Oh, that might be a little bit hard to impersonate on the on an audio medium.
Just like a sexual predatory Zack.
Oh goodness.
Zack being a creep was also my least favorite part.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just in general, I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask this sort of stuff. What about you, Lyle? What was your least favorite thing?
My least favorite thing was, hey, what's going on here? Because Mr. Belding wasn't in this episode at all.
Oh, man, that's a good one. That's true. He wasn't.
Where was Mr. Belding? Come on, how could you have Saved by the Bell without Mr. Belding?
Well, we had Moody as a stand-in.
Yeah.
A stand-in for the buffoonery of the teachers.
But Moody's not funny. Like, no, Mr. Belding is a crack up, but...
I like Belding.
But Mr. Moody? Like, I guess Frank would have been the Mr. Belding.
Or that signature Belding laugh. I can't do it. I can't do it. But no, for me, it was, there was a lot of cringeworthy lines in here, but I think the cringeworthiest to me was when it's actually close to the beginning where Slater asks Zack if he has any more of those gingerbread chicks.
Ginger women?
Yeah, gingerbread women. And Zack says, why? You don't have a date for New Year's Eve? Oh, man. It's just these little things like that. It's what makes Saved by the Bell so good. But nowadays, yeah, so...
Makes it so good and so bad.
So cringy, yeah. So bad, but so good. Oh, man. Yeah, good stuff. So I have to ask now, G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you guys say is the other half?
I don't know, doing or achieving despite of only knowing half of it.
Okay. All right. What about you, Lyle?
There is none.
There's no other half?
No.
Okay.
Stop it.
So for me, I think the other half is getting a seasonal job at the mall and throwing a rad party at a local hospital.
Okay, fine. Why not?
That's got to be it, guys. It's been fun talking with you. What do you guys want to plug?
Well, Lyle, it's your stage.
No, you plug yours first. Mine's long.
All right, because I have so many other shows too.
Duh.
Yeah. Well, aside from It's 90s Christmas podcast, which Lyle can talk a little bit more about. You could find me on Facebook and Twitter at Lassevogt, where I talk about all sorts of stuff. My own show is called Fans About Films. You can find it on SoundCloud and iTunes. The most recent episode I did, which was a couple of years ago, was actually an interview with some really important people. I talked with Sonia Belousova and Gianna Ostinelli, the composers of a Netflix series, The Witcher. And it was an incredible, fun interview. They were very, very great and incredibly funny. We had lots of laughs. Check that interview out. It's really, really cool. And beside from that, if you happen to speak German by any chance, I'm part of the English, of a German podcast network Telestammtisch, where we talk about the most recent releases. And I'm on many episodes of that. The most recent one was we talked about Artemis Fowl, which is now on Disney+. So when you speak German, check it out. And that's all of my stuff.
Right on. And Lyle?
All right, yeah. So Lasse mentioned it a little bit. We do have a podcast called It's a 90s Christmas Podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts from, iTunes, or I think it's Apple Podcasts now, and all the like. You can also go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/90s Christmas Pod. We're on Twitter, 90s Christmas Pod. We do a bunch of 90s Christmas stuff, and one of my other shows, the Halloween podcast, is also out there. So if you like Halloween stuff, it's basically the same exact thing as It's a 90s Christmas Podcast, but it's with Halloween stuff. And if you catch this during October, we're doing the 31 show countdown of Halloween. So every day I release a show in the month of October, 31 shows, 31 days. It's pretty tough, but yeah, if you like it, check it out. The Halloween podcast.
Right on. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to say except you've all been so terrific. I wish there was something we could give to you. Well, you can. You can check us out on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling like Zack Morris when he sees a pretty girl, leave us a review on iTunes. Not only does it help us reach more people, but you also get a free sticker. Now, don't forget to vote. Later, dudes.